On Thursday, January 28th, beginning at 6:30 p.m., WHUT will host a free OV community preview and panel discussion of Vernon Jordan, Make It Plain. Vernon Jordan, Make It Plain explores Vernon Jordan's extraordinary career, beginning with his rise from the segregated South to his tenure as the head of several civil rights organizations to his current position as a partner at a corporate law firm and financial behemoth Lazard. Join us as we explore the life of Vernon Jordan, one of the most influential African-American thought leaders of our time. This special OV film screening begins at 6:30 p.m. on January 28th and will be immediately followed by a thought-provoking panel discussion. To join us for this special OV screening and discussion, please register at vernonjordan.whut.eventbrite.com. You won't want to miss it. On Thursday, January 28th, beginning at 6:30 p.m.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I was a great fan of Mr. Jordan, and I know when I was at Howard Law School, actually, we used to see him quite a bit. So it looks like it's going to be a great film. And if you want to go to WashingtonInformer.com, you'll see actually a review that was written by our very own Brenda Seiler, who had an opportunity to view the film back in early December and read some of her comments there. Right now, I'm happy to bring William Ford, Prince George's County editor of the Washington Informer, and who will be introducing a guest as well. And William, take it over.
Thank you. Thank you, Denise, very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm waiting to speak with Mrs. Tonya Sweat, who is a wife, parent, education advocate, who served as PTA president at Oxon Hill High School and then on the State of Maryland PTA as vice president of advocacy. And she's also an attorney. So she has a few unique qualities with her. And is Ms. Sweat, has she joined us now?
Yes, good afternoon, William. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you much. I don't see your smiling face because you usually smile every time I'm talking to you. You faded to black already?
No, never. I can't be a shrinking violet.
Okay. Well, let's chat a little bit. Now, you are a Black woman, a parent with a daughter, and also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, same as Vice President Harris. Now, one thing I wanted to check, were you home during the inauguration?
So, William, looks like we're going to... Because apparently we lost her camera, her connection, so we're going to bring her back in just a few minutes. But I think it's really good that you were able to find someone who can really talk personally about their experience on Wednesday when they saw what was probably a dream come true.
Well, there's been euphoria. I mean, I have a wife, I have a mother-in-law. They're Black women. They wore their pearls. My little girl wore a little white necklace. Now, I was in Annapolis for all morning, but I stopped even at I think it was a Dunkin' Donuts. Saw a few Black women dressed up, had their pearls on. So it stretched across the country, the euphoria that was just being shown, even before the swearing in, to say that there's someone that looks like me. And you know, and these Black women have done this forever. Well, and speaking of a Black woman, and look at this, she has white pearls on. Yeah.
Technology is not always your friend, Will. It's not always your friend.
That's all right. That's all right. The question I was asking, were you home during your inauguration?
Absolutely. I was home all day with the TV on. We watched it from, oh my gosh, 6:30 in the morning until about midnight, I think it was. We were watching on Wednesday.
So let me decide. I know that the feeling of euphoria, but what did you do when you saw and heard Kamala Harris get sworn in as the Vice President of the United States?
I was sitting in my recliner next to my husband, and I just had this moment of pride, of joy, excitement. And I watched my daughter. She was sitting watching with us, and she the smile on her face. I don't even think my little Terry realized that she was smiling, but it was a beautiful sight just to see what was going on that day and to see my child's reaction to what was going on that day. It was awesome. I mean, other than feeling a lot of relief for obvious reasons that we won't talk about, it was just a happy day, And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with our nation now that we've got new leadership.
Now, how old is your baby girl?
She's 8. She'll be 9 next month.
Ah, February baby.
Yeah.
Now, do you know if she understood how big of a deal this was?
No, I don't think she understood the reality of seeing the first woman to take on the role of vice president of this nation. And I don't know that she'll really begin to understand it until she's maybe a teenager and understand the significance of the power that she has, even as a young lady, a little girl growing up in the United States. I think it was phenomenal for her after 4 years of not seeing those images on TV to finally see somebody that looked like her in the spotlight.
And final more personal touching question. Besides the birth of your children and marriage to your husband, how big of a deal was this presidential inauguration on Wednesday?
Look, it's a big deal. It was a big deal. Vice President Harris has broken new barriers. And the glass was cracking all the time. The names of other Black women who've done some phenomenal things have already been called today. I'm going to add Shirley Chisholm to the list because she started to chip away at that glass ceiling a long time ago when she stepped out and said, I'm going to run for national office. But what my sorority sister did on Wednesday was she shattered it. And what I'm looking forward to seeing in the near future is that glass ceiling come raining down, because we know just because a glass shatters, it doesn't mean it's going to fall out of place.
Hey, before we switch over a little bit more locally and state, what do you see in a Biden-Harris administration for education, especially being that you are an education advocate?
I am so advocate. I'm excited about what I'm hearing from President Biden and Vice President Harris for education. President Biden didn't hesitate to say he was going to give the money to the states to make sure our children could return to the classroom safely, and that he was directing the federal Department of Education to develop some guidelines so that our schools can get our children back into the classroom where they need to be. And that's the first step right there. We need guidance. We need leadership. We need to know what we need to do to make the school safe, considering the circumstances our schools were in before the pandemic ever hit. And so everybody's talking about this $1.9 trillion idea, concept, this bill, this plan. I love it. I think we can do it. I'm praying and hoping that it gets through Congress and that it's enacted very quickly, because Maryland schools most definitely and absolutely the schools in Prince George's County need every bit of that money and every bit of the support from the federal government we can get.
Well, I only have time maybe for one more question.
Okay.
You mentioned about Prince George's County and Maryland. Timely question. Governor Hogan, did you get to hear and read that new announcement that he said March 1st, I want children in schools?
I did. I did.
You'll go ahead. Give me your thoughts real quick.
I agree that our children need to be back in school for a whole host of reasons. What I did not appreciate about the governor's statement on yesterday was his tone, the ultimatum. What I need the governor to understand is our local school systems need money, they need guidance, and they need honest information so that they can effectively plan and return our children to school without putting the students, the educators, and the support staff in harm's way. He stood up and put this edict out there, but the State Department of Education keeps saying the school is local rule. It's the county's responsibility. So now we get this edict from the governor without all the necessary pieces of the puzzle to make it happen. I don't know where he got his magic wand from, but we need a little bit more. I'm grateful that he says he's got a little over $700 million to do this. I don't think $700 million is going to be enough, because when you look at the ages of the schools, with not just within the county, but statewide, and Prince George's County, unfortunately, have some of the oldest school buildings in the state. We've got to fix the ventilation systems. We've got to fix the air conditioning and HVAC. We got to make sure we can socially distance our children. And a lot of our schools are overcrowded. We're going to need additional desks, and we're going to need additional teachers. And we know the state of Maryland's got a problem recruiting teachers and keeping them in the classroom. Not to mention, we may still need PPE for staff members and the educators, because we're not beyond the virus. And oh, by the way, in Prince George's County, as of today, only about 8,500 or so of our residents have gotten the first dose of the vaccine. Our teachers need to be vaccinated so that they can go back in the classroom and teach the over 135,000 children we have in the public school system here in the county. We've already had 2 children in the state of Maryland die from COVID. 1 was too many. We don't want to increase that number. So while I appreciate the governor's enthusiasm for getting our children back in school, I'm asking him and the State Department of Education to give us a little bit more. I appreciate that the money's coming, but we also need some clear guidance and direction for how we make this happen.
Thank you, Mrs. Tonya Sweat, for joining us. I appreciate it as always. Talking to you. Thank you much.